Alrighty. Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson, and I'm going to bring you all of tonight's top 5 stories. Sorry I wasn't able to do a broadcast yesterday. I had a different job to do, and it took more time than I expected. Sometimes my work is in the evening, so sometimes that happens. Can't always have the evening off. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at the volcano update. Oh, there we go. Didn't even load it. I loaded a bunch of other stuff, but okay, here we go. You'll be able to see I have so many tabs up. I wanted to get ready before the show tonight. Okay, so volcanoes, where are we looking? What are we looking at here? Volcanoes, not the ads. Not that. There we go. Okay. Looks like we'll do that later. We've got explosive activity on Semiru. At Vanuatu, Ioba is got some unknown observed volcanic activity. Popo has been exploding up to flight level 190. Songhai in Ecuador has new volcanic emissions. New what was it? V emissions. Volcanic ash material, maybe? Not detected on satellite due to weather clouds in summit area. Volcanic and webcam confirm volcanic ash emissions. Okay. So that's going on in Ecuador. Then let's see for all of the 29th. Got a Mount Etna update. Vigorous spattering from the intra-crater vent on the Vorigine crater on Mount Etna. Now remember, Mount Etna is not one that's like Vesuvius where it's just got the one crater at the top. Mount Etna is a large mountain with a series of different craters and many spatter cones all over the very active mountain. And this is just one crater that's been sputtering out. Only a few days. Okay, now in Svartsengi, only a few days after the end of the last eruption, there are signs that the volcanic system is ready for yet another eruption, possibly in the near future. So it marked the 5th eruption of the Svartsengi system north of Grindavik. As magma continues to accumulate in a shallow reservoir underground, the ground swells has now reached levels higher than before the beginning of the last eruption on May 29th. So I think just for some context, we have seen an increase in the groundswell before each successive eruption. So just because it's past where it was when it erupted doesn't mean it's ready to erupt again right now. But this probably does mean that as soon as the ground started inflating again, we did start recharging this magma reservoir to start erupting. And this has got a great image of the lava flow kind of outlined in white, and you can see the magma chamber there. It doesn't give me how much this color grading represents, but you can see that this is the local maximum. Does that have? Yeah. This is shown by the latest information. Displays a wave with a max approximate 4 centimeters of vertical change. So I bet that each of these is like a centimeter of change. Um, Sao Jorge in the Azores Islands, part of Portugal's territory. The Institute of Volcanology lowered the volcanic alert to a V1. So, although there have been some occasional peaks of energy, the downward trend in seismic activity has continued, with no events having been recorded. Cool. So things are cooling off down there. Kamchatka, we've got volcanic ash released. Mount Ibu exploded today. Lewitobi exploded. Mount Semeru in East Java also exploded. Aoba and Vanuatu continued to explode. We've got Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia exploding up to flight level 200. Songhai had no volcanic ash observed yesterday, but might have been observed again after UTC went into the 30th. Reventador and Sabancaya going strong as well. Let's see our 28th update. The 28th is when we did see a large earthquake over here in South America. So I'll get to that in our earthquake update. Here's the great image of the eruption from Karimsky on the Kamchatka Peninsula. That is volcanic ash up to flight level 150. So that is 150. About 2.5 kilometers above the summit vent. And Tefra went about 32 kilometers to the south of the volcano. Mount Abeco on the Paramashir Island is also erupting. That is right to the south of the Kamchatka Peninsula between Russia and Japan. Mount Ibu is erupting. So is Lewitobi. Here's Semeru and Santiaguito as well. All with their explosive activity going on. Let's see. Lewitobi to ads open. As we were talking about, let's talk about our earthquakes next. Oh, as I say that, here comes. Oh, there we go. Got to get earthquake 3D up here. There we go. My computer's very slow. I bet it's because I have Edge being the bandwidth hog when it comes to act. For those of you who are back, I'm glad to see you here. We just went over that their biggest volcano news, I think, is that there's a new area of activity in the Vanuatu Islands, and there's also a lot of groundswell going on the Svartsengi Peninsula. So let's start out with the biggest story. Our initially observed at a 7.2, but apparently downgraded to a 6.1 review in Peru, right at the end of this river. Well, it's really off the coast, just slightly off the coast of a province, a region named Akari, near the Nevada Sarasara. Let's see, Atiquipa. Looked like quite an interesting thing loads. That, do that, and then move this here. Because I want to show you, this is the fault plane solution, which I don't usually show because I don't, it's not usually, I don't know much about the tensor moment products. So I'm not going to try to explain it, but if those of you out here who are seismologists know, what these mean, I know I've read about it before, but I just didn't retain the information. So with the nodal planes, this was our angles of strike, dip, and rake. Our principal axes were really T and P and like very, very little N. And middle, this solution. But this has been quite an interesting slippy slide kind of earthquake. This is the area where it was felt. Back to earthquake 3D, you'll be able to see the mouth of a river of the you can see it here too, the Rio Akari. And there are several rivers that drain into this basin right here. So this is a very a highly varied elevation interface. This is also coming right off of this very interesting river delta looking area near San Cristobal. But it's in a mountain, like a mountain delta. I don't even know. But right off the coast of Akari is our big 6.1 concurrent right there with a, oh no, that one says 629. Did I not go back far enough to get our 7.2? Hold on. Open this back up. Yeah, there it is. Okay, sorry, just kidding. So the 6.1 I was just talking about is the stream to talk about it. Okay, so a 7.2, this one was a little bit further north in Atapiqua, Peru. This one was like right on the coast here. This is closer to Atapiqua. The last one I showed you was Akari. It was right off here. So this is the 7.2 shaking map of where it was probably felt. Now that makes a lot more sense why the beach ball looked like that for this other one. This is the estimated intensity map. And the moment tensor again looked really skewed towards T and P. This is the strike slip distance along dip that it moved and distance along strike that it moved. And this is vertical depth. So you can see the center of it was centered around 27 kilometers depth, but you felt it. There was some movement all the way up to 22 kilometers depth and 35 and kind of downward as well. This is how much it moved in meters. So there was that much movement. There was about 1.5 to 2 meters of movement right in the heart of it. Well, it showed and slipped there. And yeah, okay, so this tail end is actually the tail that is leading on shore. That is a really cool product. And this is the relative moment rate. So the rate of the moment. And a moment is not like a time moment, a physical property, not a physical property. It's a variable in physics, the moment, the tensor moment. Let's see the fine fault map. Okay, yeah. We can really see it well here, how it kind of curves up into there. Really interesting products here. I love it. Okay, let's go on to our earthquake review now that I know I got the 7.2 up. So we had a 7.2, and then around it a 6.5, 6.1, and 5.3, as well as a 4.7 and 4.4. Those lower magnitudes were actually before the 7.2. So they kind of were pre-shocks, foreshocks. You can see you can barely see the lines when I'm this close in, but that cyan means they're earlier. These were the 4.7, I think, was the earliest. 4.7 was at 1:52 a.m. My time, or UTC 5:52. The 4.4 was at UTC 7:05. 6.5 was at 5:36. That 5.3 was also at 3:22. And then we got the 7.2 at 1:36 a.m. Actually, I think, are my colors wrong? Oh, no. I switched between UTC and local time. Okay, looks like 6.1 and 5.3 were after, and the 6.5, 4.4, and 4.7 were right around the same time as the 7.2. Then, and this is right on the coast of Peru. Then later, we got the 5.2 and 5.2, along with a 4.2 here in Chile. And those are doing that dumbbell stacking thing where we have one deeper at 178 kilometers depth. And where's the other deep one? 180 kilometers depth. Then those were the 4.2 and 4.4. Then on moderately deep 5.2 at 43 kilometers, then a 4.7 and 4.4 closer to surface. So then what else have we seen? As we have our depth exaggeration rings on as large as we can usually expect to see knock-on effects of this quake movement around the size of this ring. I don't know if they meant for that to do that or if we've just noticed that. But we have a 4.3 up here is this Colombia? Yeah, up here in Colombia near Jordan, just south of Bucaramanga. Again, if I say these names wrong, please correct me and forgive me. But that 4.3 is right on the plate boundary of is this the Atlantic plate? I forget. I need to call up my plate boundary map names. And the 4.7 here at 10 kilometers depth was also on a plate boundary there. Now, speaking of plate boundaries, as we get out here to Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, this little leeward or windward islands, kind of the point, the apex in this Puerto Rican trench, looks like the biggest one we've got is a 3.7 at 68 kilometers depth. That's decently deep for them. And this area is looking at, and that's a pretty recent one as well. This area is also looking at, and a 3.3 yesterday at 71 or at 71 kilometers depth. Oh, there's a flash. That's my background flash. I have not noticed what that looks like yet. I never have this window open when a new one comes on, so we'll see where that popped up. It'll be a cyan. It'll have its magnitude flag will be highlighted in cyan for whichever one just hit. all in the first pretty shallow there. We had another Southern Appalachian quake. We had a 1.9 at 8 kilometers depth. This time in right on the Tennessee, North Carolina border, Tellico Plains, Tennessee. That is right in the Nantahala National Forest. Actually, an interesting location. Look at this on my screen. Interesting location because it is at the apex of a local maximum in the curve of a river. You can see, or in the curve of the state line, which goes with an elevation plane. This is the ridge that they're using to monitor. And you can see it does cross some elevations here. But this is kind of the peak of the curve of a little local ridge, and it's right here on Rocky Branch Creek, probably. This is looks like a mountain stream that starts at the top of this cove, a north-facing cove. So it flows down into Mule Pin Gap. I mean, pretty much nothing. This is really in the heart of some national forested area, right on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. I don't know if y'all know this, but that is a actually pretty rough area to survive in because there are lots of disappeared off the radar or just got lost or were enticed into the forest by something. Very powerful, energetic area. Who knows what's out there? Who knows what's out there? Even the forest rangers are like, I don't really like to be out there by myself at night. You feel watched is what I mean, especially along the Tennessee, North Carolina border. It's yeah. I guess that's all I'm going to say about it. Interesting place for there to be an earthquake is what I mean. Let's go back to checking out the earthquakes on Earthquake 3D. Up here in upstate New York, we had a 3.4. I think this is Hobart? Henderson. I don't know why I said Hobart. Henderson, New York, right on, well, I guess it's actually in Lake Ontario, not quite on shore. But still, a 3.4 up here is nothing to sneeze at. That is also near the border. Let's see. That's pretty remarkable. I wonder if anybody felt that. Did they have a shaking map on this? No, they didn't indicate that anyone would have felt the shake. There was a community internet interest map. Community internet intensity map. So this is a cool feature where you can kind of see where an earthquake might have been felt by what kinds of searches there were for, was there an earthquake near me? There's like, they can look this up. You can look this up to see how the qualifiers for what counts as interest. But some of this is also, I bet, they've not been reviewed by a scientist. They are the most preferred data available, though. I think that's a cool product. Let's see. Don't have anything else to show you there. Earthquakes, moving right along. And yeah, those were yesterday's quakes. When I've got 2 days worth of quakes on the screen, you can kind of see that the blue would be yesterday's and the red would be today's quakes. Had quite a few earthquakes in the plains yesterday. We had 2.6 in Kansas. That one's not usual. We also have a healthy number of small quakes in Oklahoma and a decent stack in West Texas as usual. Nothing getting above, looks like, nothing getting above a 2.8, I think, is the largest we got there at 6 kilometers depth. Then as we move into California, we see that we do have a large quake sticking out here. We also have a 3.9. Let me take our magnitudes up for a little bit so that we can see. This big one is a 4.1 right in the heart of Nevada. That's at 4 kilometers depth. We've got a 3.4 right here in Southern California. I think this is going to be in a national park as well. No, it's not. This is halfway between Fort Irwin and Barstow. Barstow looks like it has the Marine Corps Logics Base and Marine Corps Logistics Base. So halfway between the Marine Base and the Fort Irwin, which I guess is another base. Actually, this is interesting. I think this is something Dutch might have covered in his video. This happens of 4 different we have Black Mountain Wilderness up here. Over here is the much mentioned on other YouTube channels Edwards Air Force Base. The Fort Irwin up here, and the Pilot Knob Valley. Then we got the Soda Mountains and the Devil's Playground and Mojave National Preserve up there. Then down here we have another Marine Corps, 29 Palms. Oh, I've heard of that one before. I think I forget what happened at 29 Palms, but that was another famous one. So this is quite an interesting placement for this earthquake, right in the middle of all of those. That's really cool. I wonder if they all helped. I wonder if they all contributed a little bit and tried to coordinate their efforts. That's just me making jokes. By the way, I don't believe that actually happens. That's not what I think. Here as soon as we get to the Baja Peninsula, we got those 3.9s and 3.3s again. These are also looking moderately deep. Whereas that 3.4 up in the location I just mentioned, let me take it back to earthquakes. Location I just mentioned, it had a 2 kilometer depth. Yeah, no, this was a 1 kilometer depth right in the middle of all those military bases in Southern California. And that was due south of where this 4.1 in Nevada is. Let's see where this is. It's in the middle of the Great Basin near Toyabe Range, Austin, Nevada. Looks like the epicenter is located slightly off center of where the center of shaking would have been. Oh, this is also like west of Eureka, Nevada, and near the Shoshone Mountains. And what reserve is this? I guess just Toyabe Range. Okay. Oh, this is also halfway between Eureka and all these naval installations over near Fallon. So interesting there. Interesting location for that 4.1 right in the heart of Nevada. I wonder if they had some recent rain there. Let's see. What else? What else did we have here? Oh, is this 1.0 our most recent one? Is that why that's up? Oh no, we just need to zoom out. I'm going to make these quake sizes smaller so we can see as we are adding back in the larger quakes. This is what they look like. Over twos. We had a lot of over twos up and down the northern and central California coast yesterday. And then, yeah, the stack in northern Baja just gets bigger and bigger. This is like, sorry, I got flies. La Mira, Michoacan. I don't know. I don't know where that is exactly. Looks like it's right in the middle of the mountain range peninsula. Then we've got, wait, I'm on that one. Yeah, okay, it just doesn't show me. Am I still on my, yes, I am. Oh, hello, everyone. Hello, Jenny. I'm sorry I haven't checked in on my chat in a second. Wee, number one. I'm glad you're here. A 7.2 is pretty big. Yeah, that's exciting. The 1994 Northridge earthquake was a 6.7, and both of those would be very large. So hope everyone is okay there. Haven't seen any reports outside of our seismic news updates. Yeah, then we zoom out to include all our tremors, and then everything makes a little more sense. You see a lot of tremors going into the Southern California area before to attenuate into combining their forces here in Baja. Then as we move up to, oh man, Hawaii has really shot up there with its number of quakes. And that is our most recent quake, the one that came on stream. That's that 2.1 at 0 kilometers depth here in Hawaii. That is our most recent quake. And that one happened, let's see, again, right near the Kilauea volcano crater, just south of the Halemaumau crater in the Kilauea crater. That is right in the Hawaii National Park. For the volcano, it is good that it's protected there, but man, look at that big stack. I mean, yeah, I think Hawaii wins today for largest stack of earthquakes, and they are all twos and under, but or like upper twos and under, but they are, some of these are like a 2 point. No, they're lower twos. But the only other stack that is comparable is the one out of California. That is at the Geysers, California. So the Geysers and Hawaii winning out on large stacks today. As we go to Alaska and take our quake sizes down, it really doesn't look that bad. But we've got, as you can see, 3.8, 3.3, and 3.6 yesterday. And those were all, right around the time of that 7.2. Then we've got a 5.0 out here on the Aleutian Island chain, right next to a 2.5. 2.3's up here. 3.2's up into the Denali National Park area. Some of these are down on the Alaskan Peninsula. And that 5 was at a 99 kilometers depth, and the 2.5 at 79 kilometers depth. So as we add in our smaller quakes, you can see where the interstitial fleshing out of that energy goes. Then as we approach Kamchatka Peninsula, we got a 4.9 and a 4.7. Those are at 33 and 10 kilometers depth. We got a 4.1 on the peninsula itself, kind of near the volcano, at a depth of 100 kilometers. Then out on the Paramushir Islands Pacific Plate boundary at a 3.7 at 60 kilometers depth. That makes sense because Mount Abeco has been in our volcano update recently. 4.9, 4.0, 4.3s as we head into Japan proper. So really, as we zoom out, we can see these earthquake rings, rippling and filling out like the wave tank that they are, showing the concept of the conservation of energy as we see all of these dominoes kind of fall hours and hours apart. A 4.5 at 46 kilometers depth right off the coast of Tokyo is our most recent one. That's on the H-shaped plate boundary. 4.8s, we got 4.8s on the Philippine plate as we get down to Taiwan. We got a 4.8 at 241 kilometers along with one at 10 kilometers. 4.9 and 4.5 in the Philippines. Again, a deep one and a 10 kilometer one. Then a 4.6 here in the middle of the Banda Sea. 4.8, 4.4 as we get into Papua New Guinea. Then out towards Tonga and Fiji Islands, we see a 4.5, a deep 4.5 at 423 kilometers, a 4.5 at 556 kilometers. Those are also right around the same time as that 7.2 at the other side of the world. Slightly before that, we had a 5.2, 5.7s at 10 kilometers depth, a 5.0 at 10 kilometers depth, 4.6 and 4.9 all at 10 kilometers depth. Australia also heating up. We got 3.1 and 2.9s here in the middle, very shallow. These are surface level 2.9s and 3.1s. We got a 2.7 and a 1.7 down here. As we get into, what area is this called? Forget. This part, that part. Hawker, South Australia, near the Lake Torrens National Park. That is just north of Adelaide and the Spencer Gulf in South Australia. We also had some in the Northern Territory here, which was interesting. These are near a place called Creek. It's Welapinti Davenport Ranges National Park. That looks like the bush, like way out there in the middle of the deserty bushland. A 2.8 up here on the Gold Coast, and nothing on the western side, which is new. They have been on that side recently. Got some 4.9s and 5.1s here at Java. We've got those are all medium depth to shallow. A 5.0 up here at 10 kilometers depth. Am I showing the right? Yeah. 4.3 up here in Kyrgyzstan. We got a 4.8 and a 5.0 right here in Georgia, I believe. No, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran border region is what this is saying. And a 4.3 down here in Iran proper. That's at 10 kilometers depth again. Then rounding it out, Oh, I forgot to mention on the Antarctic plate, we had a 5.6 at 10 kilometers depth out here, like kind of where you see the seamount coming off of Africa and kind of intersecting with these plate boundaries. Then in Greece and Turkey, more of these Greek quakes are sweeping into Turkey regions. We've got a 3.2 at 11 kilometers depth, and then many ones and twos. You see this, all the twos. Oh, we had a 4.5 here. I have a 4.5 at 10 kilometers depth. This is on Crete, and a 3.8 and 3.2 also flanking that 4.5. So let's actually take this up to 4.5s. No, 3.5s and just look at the globe in 3.5s and greater. That is quite a bit of they translate the energy from and then we've got these stacks of deep and shallow quakes around each other. I'm going to turn off the Earth sphere, turn on the outline. Then you can see straight through the Earth. This 6.2 happened to be on hard to, yeah. Oh gosh, I'm looking at it backwards. Yeah, this way. This way. No, that way. There we go. No, that way. There we go. Wait, no. This is so hard. We got it correct. No, I want you on the front, not the back. Okay. Okay, hold on. I gotta turn the Earth's surface back on to get this in the right spot. It's so hard when I make it hollow. Okay. Yeah. You see the 7.2 here is real close to this projection of the sun onto the sun's equatorial plane onto the Earth's surface. You know, also see on the other side of the world from this area is right in the Philippines, Southeast Asia region. Looks like right on the opposite side of the world is that area of Java that got struck. Yeah, this is a very interesting earthquake day. Okay, we also have a huge meteorological update today. That is because we finally have our second named storm of the season. We've got the South Atlantic right now. I think I'm gonna have to show that on and see that this good, more traditional occluded front, warm front, cold front, cyclonic action sweeping through the Northwest is bringing a little bit more typical summertime precipitation patterns to the Midwest and Northeast. We're also seeing the return of some severe weather cells out here in Missouri and Oklahoma. Currently, we're looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, severe thunderstorm watches, and a mesoscale discussion, I think, for flash flooding possible. And we do have a flash flood warning in place here in Lebanon, Missouri. Looks like that is all frontal boundary related as this frontal mass passes through at kind of an oblique angle. Then you've also got these pop-up, oh god, this is lagging a little. sorry. You got these pop-up thunder showers in Illinois and Indiana, kind of showing off the possibility for local convection to spring up anytime that we have these sweeping cold fronts coming in at kind of like an angle to a ridge. Because this is under here, this is a great big high that's been in place for a while now. Remnants of that heat dome that gave us that big heat wave, keeping it, I'd say, uncomfortably dry in the southeast and deep south. Even though we have gotten rain here and there, it has not been seasonable amounts of rain. We've also got a mesoscale discussion for potential flashing up here in West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio, from into Columbus. And it's kind of a little bit past there right now. We've got, and that's kind of happening along a dry line. So I want to see the mesoscale discussion on this. Anomalously moist and moderately unstable air mass remains in place this evening across upper Ohio Valley and into the central Appalachians. A couple of broken bands of convection are currently noted over northeast Kentucky, far southern Ohio, and parts of northern West Virginia. Show much of along an elongated surface trough, which is at least partially a result of convective outflow from the earlier convection. Okay, that makes sense. So this mesoscale convective system is kind of a 48 hours setting up a system of mesoscale convective systems sweeping from the Midwest into the Northeast. So they're doing fine on rain. And there's also a mesoscale discussion down here near the Florida-Georgia line. We've got flash flooding possible, looking like all along the panhandle of Florida and into coastal Georgia. We're looking at, we're currently getting a lot of officially would like it to be raining up here in the Appalachian or mesic soil types that would do better with more rain, but everyone's fine. We're not really in a drought. It's just drier than it should be. And that goes along with our big rainmaker out here in the desert Southwest. While there are probably a lot of people in these states that are like, man, I wish I was getting rain, but it's on the other side of that mountain. There are areas where it's just pouring down. From Albuquerque to Santa Fe, we are almost continually in a flash flood warning. We're looking at radar indicated, but damage threat considerable flash flooding. Yeah, this is all the way up to Los Alamos. We've got 60. There's like literally one fruit fly in here and it keeps trying to fly in my nose. 60 mile per hour winds, potentially 7.5 inch hail, 0.75 inch hail, not 7.5 inch hail. Jesus, I hope not. Also looking at severe thunderstorm warning out here north of Santa Rosa. Is this high system bringing something around? I don't know. I think this is, again, part of this big feeder convective system, California, Mexico hills, where all of these elevations as we get into especially New Mexico, we're looking at the right conditions for desert storms. So this is going to continue. I don't see it slowing down unless and until we get a nice curly mesoscale convective system that can come sweep this direction. Really lead this high in the eastern half of the United States to get out of the way so that lows can move through here, pulling this moisture over into the southeast. I think that this is like the atmospheric river that usually is spraying lots of convection and moisture and instability into the deep south, is currently nudged over and redirected along the mountains into the monsoon season type of behavior that we're seeing in the southwest here. You can kind of see them rotating on a very large scale. God, I need to like close Earthquake 3D or something because my computer is so slow right now. It should not be. But again, we haven't even gotten to this part of the update, but there is a lot of geomagnetic storm going on. We're still dealing with some of the fallout of yesterday's G4 geomagnetic storm. So maybe the computers are just not having a great time due to that. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to close Radar Omega down and see if that gets things sped back up again. Then again, maybe I am just loading to comp a page. This was it today, but a history and test out of specific type of astrometeorology to observed temperatures. It looked at the aspects between the sun and Saturn, and the hypothesis was that that's one that's forecasting methods, even though I don't forecast much. Oh, where'd I go? Sorry. I hope I wasn't off screen for too long. That I already clicked out of it. But anyway, yeah, there are ways to forecast using the astrological transits. And I think that's a very valuable part of any good forecast. This is showing, even though Arizona has been getting some rain in some places, wildfires are still advancing near heavily urbanized areas like Phoenix. Let me see. I didn't bring up my wildfire tracker yet. Here is the wildfire tracker in Arizona, and this is the wildfire we're talking about that's forcing evacuations near incorporated town parts. This is Carefree. That area is right next to the Mazatzal Mountains. The Boulder View incident is what is really close to Phoenix, but there's a new one today. 4 hours. Got the DeSoto fire, the Crazy Basin fire, the Bluebell incident, all of these different fires popping up all over Arizona. So they do have actually air quality warning in Phoenix right now, and they are trying to tell people not to drive alone, to cut down on emissions to improve the local air quality. Now, over in New Mexico, it's not that everywhere is nice and humid, because here near Ruidoso, this is the South Fork incident, the Salt incident, and the Blue 2 incident. Those are acreage of wildfires burned, and that is where it's really not great to have a flash flood. There's also new wildfires popping up around there. Not in the same exact area, but still, I mean, considering the impressive amount of rain New Mexico is getting, this is an interesting number of wildfires. We're in red flag warnings for California, Nevada, and Utah. So we are looking at potentially more wildfires popping up. The wildfire in Eastern Oregon is still going on. And we have 2 new ones near Boise, Idaho. So that's our wildfire roundup. Again, bad for the South to be so hot and dry. This is a tinder keg out here. A powder keg, a tinder basket, whatever. These are contained, but not good, because these are not usually areas that expect a wildfire season. Okay, let's go to next. Oh, here is the video of the other day. I mentioned that meteo tsunami in Lake Michigan. This is the onshore flow just from the expansion of the water due to low pressure and onshore wind flows. So this body of water when there's a hurricane with that much of a pressure drop. Their flooding and storm surge are not just from precipitation. They are also from the direction of winds with respect to the shape of the coastline and the expansion of the water itself under low pressure. I know you think of water as a non-compressible fluid, but it is actually something that does slightly expand and contract based on the equation of state. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to go to current storms. Here on Hurricane Beryl, we're looking at the tropical tidbits coverage. This is the most recent long-wave infrared radar that we've got. Long-wave IR. And let's take a look at the Dvorak technique. This is a technique of classifying hurricanes based on satellite imagery, and you can look up more at about the Dvorak technique and how it helps us rate and estimate the strength and qualitative values of a storm's eye. You can see an inner eye wall forming there quite clearly in the Dvorak technique, whereas you look at just regular long-wave IR, it's a little harder to see that this is a defined center eye wall. This is just I think it's a different scheme of color grading and not blending that helps us identify these crucial parts of the anatomy of a hurricane. Let's look at our visible radar, and you can see pretty true color might go down on us. No, we can still see it pretty well. Yeah, we're seeing that nice counterclockwise flow in the center with a upper level divergence in a more there's a good pathway out for take a RGB water vapor because that. And again, it's hard to see the eye wall until you look at the Dvorak technique. Yeah, see these moist upper levels? That is showing that divergence aloft that is actually healthy for the stream of the storm, for the flow of atmospheric convection. It's good to have a nice exhaust pipe at the upper levels. These moist low to mid levels right here, streaming out away from the storm, aren't bad either. We do have moisture feeding into the storm at high levels as well. This could, let's go back to, we're looking at intensity guidance here. Bulk of intensity shows that we may get up to a Cat 3. The higher end, we're definitely going to get into a Cat 2, I think. There's only like 1 or 2 programs that don't take us that way. And remember, the further we get out, the less reliable these are. But I do think that we're looking at a strong chance of strengthening past to Category 1 with this guy. And here is the global spaghetti plot there. And then we're looking at the GFS ensembles here. It's a little bit less finely detailed than the Euro, but there is still the potential for this to make American landfall. However, I think a lot of the models don't have it taking that turn yet. We're only like 5 days out. And that's out as we forecast tropical systems with any confidence up, but why it probably won't is system swirling around the southeast, keeping it dry as a bone over here, is keeping it hot and dry, and also giving us a strong east to west wind across here, across the southern part of that high system, which is probably going to help push this storm towards the west rather than curving north. Now, if there was and that's part of like that ridge system. Now, if there was a nice trough that could help align with the low pressure system here and suck it up into the coast, then we might be looking at more of a curved towards America track. But currently, we are looking at heading straight through the Caribbean towards the Yucatan Peninsula. And also a weakening as you go into the Caribbean. Now there's shallower waters with warmer sea surface temperatures, but a lot of the sea surface temperature energy has been put into Alberto and these other invest regions. So there may not be quite as much available juicy bathwater, soupy conditions for this to really strengthen as it goes through the Gulf. Matter of fact, let's go check out our sea surface temperatures. Yeah. This is, that's an old one. That's 19. Let's see. June 28, 2024 sea surface temperatures. Looks like we are looking in Celsius degrees. We've got kind of a cooling here at the Yucatan with all of that thermal energy into kinetic energy in the Bay of Campeche recently, like Alberto and Invest 94L, which is still going on there. So I think Invest 94L is kind of eating up some of the material that it would need to keep strengthening this way. But like before Alberto, this was a lot higher. So as we move into like through the Windward Islands there and south of the main large Caribbean islands here. We are probably going to move into slightly cooler waters, warmer waters at first and then slightly cooler, and probably some conditions aloft that aren't as favorable. Like Dr. Cowan mentioned the tropospheric something, but I don't understand what that was because I'm not a hurricane expert, so I won't go into it. I'll just tell you to watch Tropical Tidbits' update on this storm, explaining why some of these models are forecast to weaken a little bit as we traverse the Caribbean. Interesting headlines I saw today. Some local news station in California got this headline wrong, and when they talked about the largest land return in history, they talked about the Esalen tribe instead, when that actually started 4 years ago. The one that has most recently made its way through California bureaucracy is this return of lands in the Klamath River Dam Removal Project to the Shasta Indian Nation. So this is a project where there is going to be new available land. This lake is going to doing all the legal things to make it sure that it is officially returned to the Shasta Indian Nation. But for right now, we've got 2,800 acres getting returned to the Shasta Indian Nation to steward and perform ceremony and be in relationship with the land. Now, that is not the same thing as them legally owning it. I think that is why ancestral lands will be, it is unclear when the ancestral lands will be officially returned, but it seems like this is the most official return that they have been able to muster so far. Now, why is that good news? It's great news because the piece I saw about the Esalen tribe getting their lands in Big Sur returned to them was the protection of river ecosystems and also traditional ecological knowledge, or TEK, which is the official policy of some government entity in 2014. Using traditional ecological knowledge, the tribes are able to return to a way of managing forests that makes them more agriculturally productive, more sustainable and resistant to wildfire, more biodiverse and ecologically resilient places. So that is a good sign because land back movements are really important for reversing climate change. And I don't mean just stopping or making it worse. I mean actually reversing climate change. It sounds radical, I know, but it is really important to do things the right way. And there's people who are the opportunity to be reunited with what was stolen. There are four. This is an interesting article that highlights 4 different ways that you can contribute to the land back movement. There's paying rent, where you pay rent to the real owners of the land, the local tribes that got displaced from there, in addition to your rent, but it would be all put into a land trust or towards tribal services. The land trust and taxes, that's when you pay that kind of rent or something like that to a trust fund or a land trust that acquires and preserves land to establish a land relationship with tribes that currently have no land, if they're unofficially recognized by the government, or if their officially recognized land is nowhere near what was actually taken from them. So there's a third way of permitting, where, like in what we call Canada today, the Silcotin Nation has granted morel harvesting permits, and they need to, everybody who has a permit needs to take care of the land and water while camping and harvesting for the mushrooms. And also, people who are part of that nation get to harvest the mushrooms themselves and sell it to people without them needing to get a picker or buyer license, which increases economic resiliency for the nation. And then there's also housing, like the One House, Many Nations project, where they're actually just starting to return to lands without the officially being given back to the nation process, where unceded or forfeited treaty lands, models, places where treaties were violated always by the United States, are being retaken by demonstrating it's kind of like a housing first model, where you just start living there first and start being, again, in relationship with the land first, and then the actual dumb who owns this land part is it works backwards from there. Yeah, and resisting the trances in the path of has been climate destruction for the sake of an industry that is going to continue to destroy the climate. So there's a double shot at ways to protect the land. You're not only protecting the land you move in and live with now, but you're also protecting all land in the globe from climate change through that fossil fuel industry. So, let's see. Were there tornadoes in the past 48 hours? Yes. I don't want to miss any. On Friday, we had tornadoes here in Florida, near Jacksonville, Florida. There was one. That is not surprising. Overturned vehicle, flipped vehicle. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a water spout or land spout. We've got 3 reports out here in Kansas. These first 2 might have been the same one. Chaser sent picture approximately 8 miles south of Osage City with dust swirling around. Train spotters reported it. Yeah, the timing lines up that those would be the same tornado. And then this one down here in Yates Center, brief land spout reported by fire department and also from public social media. Then in Iowa, between Omaha and Des Moines, here near Atlantic, we had rope tornado at 7:49 p.m. another small rope tornado at 7:58 p.m. So it says another, maybe that is from the same source and they were two different ones or two different touchdowns. They can also recycle. Rope tornadoes are really good at having a short-lived lifespan and then going back up and reappearing later. And then another one at 8:46, so probably not the same rope, a brief tornado southwest of Leota. Then also up in North Dakota, I think this was right. A lot of heat, not heat, a lot of weather. Report via social media with the confirmation of tornado, exact location estimated from radar velocity data. So that's our tornado update. I think it is time for us to take a look at the magnetosphere, which is exciting. We got an amazing amount of surge from Alberto here. Wind damage too. There's a wolf in the center of Beryl. Oh, I gotta check that out. Wow, last white photo of Beryl. There's a timber wolf. Do you think Beryl cloud join with that area down near Mexico? I think actually that area down near Mexico is going to inhibit the growth of Beryl by chewing up all of the food that would feed Beryl. You know, this is if Beryl is a wolf, that storm in Mexico is a first prey, but is still cutting down on the available food sources, metaphorically. Yes, I don't mean shrooms like shroomy shrooms. I mean shrooms like morel mushrooms. That is one way that a tribe in so-called Canada is reclaiming their land rights, is making people purchase a permit to harvest a very popular gourmet, rare, hard to cultivate mushroom called a morel mushroom. Okay, I'll go back to that. I think it was the Dvorak technique that you said looked like a yeah, this is the one where they cited the wrong land return for the headline of California announces largest land return in state's history. They didn't give it to the SLN tribe, but they included a video that was of the SLN tribe. So that was shoddy reporting, in my opinion. This dam survived another flood, but exposed what's at stake as storms intensify. So they're talking about the Mankato something dam. Yeah, lots of severe weather in the Ohio Valley right now. Okay, let's go to Tropical Tidbits and look at that Dvorak technique again. I'll stop it. I don't see the wolf. Maybe, are you talking about this little area? I'll go to where I think the wolf is that you see. No, I'm not seeing the wolf, but I need you to draw it on there for me. So take a screenshot of this or you can actually, I'll drop it in the comments and you can take a screenshot and draw it. Show me where you think you see the wolf. I think I'm seeing it in this little corner right here. Very barely, but I can't quite see. I love that observation. Okay, in the last spin. Yeah. Oh, in the center, maybe in the last spin, like here. Maybe the eye of the storm is the eye of the wolf. I don't know. I would love to see what you're seeing. That sounds really cool. Okay, let's take a look at the magnetosphere, because over the past 2 days, we've seen quite the magnetic storm. I wonder if I can get this from 2 days ago. I'm going to try something in another tab real quick. I'm going to see this on yesterday. Oh no, Wayback Machine didn't troll the internet for this yesterday. Dang it. Thought maybe that was going to be my way to see the old data, but I guess I'll have to because I want to show you on the 28th yesterday, there was a big geomagnetic storm. Okay, well, this will do. So on June 28th, we see the GOES magnetometers really shoot up, heading up towards, looks like the highest we got here is HP 274 from GOES 16, which is 75 degrees west. Looks like we've got a lot of this it kind of dipped down really close to, I mean, all the way down to like 50 nanotesla. And then we jump way up to like an exponential growth. And actually, we dipped further than that. We dipped down to only 7.48 nanotesla before shooting up to that 274 nanotesla. Currently, we are middling between 150, 50 and 100 nanotesla now. But this was the result of a plasma filament ejection from the sun's surface. It didn't even register as a major coronal mass ejection, but I think the way that the components worked out, it was in the correct orientation. Let's see. Yeah. How do I get the one from yesterday? How do I get the old one? And I can't find a big geomagnetic storm on Thursday. We're looking at, so this is kind of a more normal delta B, which is change in the magnetic field. Usually pretty typical to see this hover around the poles, but we saw a pretty deep perturbation in the magnetic field on the 28th that got up to over 400 nanotesla change. So that was a pretty wild, little unexpected geomagnetic storm. But today we're looking calm again. Well, our density is way up. We got that magnetic storm yesterday, and you can really see the flow here not wanting to stay laminar. The flow around this, the magnetic field lines around the Earth don't want to stay constant. We've also got a really high pressure inside of the radiation belts of Earth now. think the Van Allen belts is what it's called. You can see these points right here are the places coming off of the North and South Pole where the magnetic field kind of reaches forward to create this contact lens. And where there's the southward charge, the negative charges want to flow to, and where there's the northward magnetic field, the positive charges or protons want to flow towards there, because this is one big torus field of putting out, receiving. Think. Okay, so after that, we've got 21 to 30. We've got 10 coronal mass ejections on the 29th. And there were 4 yesterday on the 28th. So let's take a look at some of these that have partial halos. Looks like they have a good chance of hitting Earth in some way. I see some sympathetic flaring on the other sides. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see what our solar activities reading as. So this is yesterday. We can see we hit that G4 geomagnetic storm threshold around 1430 UTC. We got up to a KP8, and that was after a G3 KP7 was reached an hour before. A G2 KP6 was an hour before that. And then we went back down to a G1 by 1930 yesterday. So far, no proton events with that, thankfully. Then our solar flares have also been pretty nominal, barely above the C range as our baseline floor flux level, and not even peaking into M-class territory. Nobody facing us on the sun is more complex than an alpha or beta type sunspot region, but there still are a heck ton of sunspots on the Earth-facing disk. We might be approaching a local maximum of number of sunspots right now. It's just that their geometric orientation isn't too complicated right now. Let's see. Wait, do I have a video of this, of SDO? Let me go to SDO imagery. Yeah, look at this. Our magnetosphere looks like this isn't even a sunspot region. This is just one big region. To me, I would call this one big complex region, probably driven by the same flow. We got a really complex pole flip going on the sun. Don't worry, that doesn't mean pole flip on the Earth. The poles actually flip on the sun every once. Doesn't that maybe? So I'm putting some honey in my tea. Well, it's apple juice. But it feels like it should be called tea if I put honey in it. Okay. Maybe you don't want to load. There we go. This is the region where we just had that filament launch on the 25th that caused this recent sunstorm. And I think this one's fixing to do the same thing. Look at that vacillation. There, it did it. I told you. Look at that. I said this looks like it's unsteadying itself. This unsteadying, and boom, launches again. And that is kind of the same thing that happened on the 25th that caused this more recent magnetic storm. So I am very curious if we're going to see the same type of geomagnetic storming from that event. See it like seesawing back and forth until it just can't hold the standing wave anymore and discharges locally a little, then bam, it got a little charge from somewhere else and relinquished itself. The other regions, the other very bright regions, are looking pretty hot as well. They just don't look very unsteady. They don't look. Yeah, I mean, this just looks unsteady. You can see it coming from a mile away. It's going to launch there. Auroral activity, and you can see how big our and wants to load. Yeah. Okay, we got up to a KP8 minus on June 28th from 12 to 15 UTC. Then we saw a little bit of a lead up to that in the evening of the 27th. Then we've slowly spiked back downwards. I think maybe with that most recent plasma filament launch, this came 3 days after that other one. So maybe in 3 days we will see another. Take a look at any models. Enlil, as you remember, Enlil was actually modeling for the 29th to be a big jump. So now it looks like they have modeled something coming in 3 days. Let's see. Looks like maybe that plasma launch is what they've got going that way. Or those coronal mass ejections. I could be. Looks like we've got a little bit of something, but really looking low on the density charts. Yeah, and then Enlil, this is WSA, and then this is Enlil. Enlil has it really not doing too much but a glancing blow towards Earth. But that is only one modeled at a time from this one. This is multiple launches, modeled at the same time. See, did our magnetometers go back far enough? Do I have? I don't have. Three days from any of these. See, this is why I try to broadcast every single day, because you get rid of the live data very soon. No, that's not gonna. Let's see. If I do, what will it give me? If I put it in the 28th. Yeah, there we go. We can see it between 12 and 15 on the 28th. And I think these are organized in latitude. So as you go closer to the equator here, it's less notable, but as you go up towards the poles, you really see that big jump in nanotesla. Some over 200, 300 jumps, and up to 400 nanotesla jumps. That's actually pretty useful. And then since then, not much updated. That also, we had an aurora on the evening of the 27th. So even with like a KP4, we had aurora in Quebec. So let me see if Is that how I spell it? ADBT Quebec Live Aurora. This one's usually really good. Yeah, their sun hasn't set, but days. 8th of June. Let's see. Start getting a beautiful sunset in here. This is when I started watching here. Yeah, so this is what happened the evening of the 27th. So this was the night before the geomagnetic storm. We had a little bit of foreshadowing. But this is gorgeous stuff that you could see if you were up there in Etibitie, Quebec, in Canada. Gorgeous, gorgeous. All credit goes to them. I just like to show this on stream as a record of the fact that there were aurora observed that day and time. So as they are going into midnight of the 28th, that is about 6 hours behind UTC time. So this isn't even at all related to the geomagnetic storm. This is the ramping up to the geomagnetic storm that caused this, which is really exciting. Yeah, as you can see there, it's really interesting because you get to see stratospheric air currents. In this, you see the movement of charged particles in the stratosphere with the undulation of the wind. That's what the movements of the larger movements of these air masses are. In addition to the smaller vacillations, those are also showing weather that's happening at a level of the atmosphere that's too high for regular weather clouds to come up. Now let's look at, we didn't look at the Schumann resonances either. And the Schumann resonances shot up almost immediately when this I don't know why everything's loading so slow today. Perfect timing. Right after the geomagnetic storm starts, 7 hours ahead of noon. So 7 plus 12, 19, right there. Because this location is 7 hours ahead of that UTC time. This is a perfect representation of the slow ramping up of the coupling with our magnetosphere, precipitating downward into the ionosphere and our atmosphere. Then today we've got this very interesting little vacillations that are coming in. Really choppy. This happened a couple days ago too, so I wonder if we might have another geomagnetic storm on the way, if this is a precursor or something. This also had a little teeny possible earthquake signature down here near 39, 35, 36 hertz, this little parabolic point right there. We'll see what amplitudes we got up to. And buddy, we got up there. We got up to 54 in amplitude power. We got 36 on mode 2, 26 on mode 3, and 20 on mode 4. These are very decent showings. Also some pretty, if it weren't dwarfed by this massive storm here, these would look impressive when the scale was compressed more. But a couple days ago, we got up to 74, which is a little more impressive. And you can see that really dropped our frequencies down a whole lot, but they climbed right back up. So we are still sitting higher than average on our frequencies, even though we've gotten such a big energy download. So that is hard to carry a lot of power at such a high frequency. Um, Now let's see. Uh, what is a plasma launch? How can you tell? Um, oh, I'd have to run inside if I saw that aurora. Don't worry. The aurora are not aliens. It's charged particles. Unless you think charged particles are aliens. I think that it is. I would love to see an aurora. What's a plasma launch and how can I tell? So, plasma launch it's a type of storm from the sun. Uh, you can see these filaments on the SDO imagery. I think on 304, can you see these like ropey, darker bits that look like they stand up in raised relief from the hotter surface? These are magnetic flux tubes that are transporting equivalent magnetic charge from one place to another. But when they kink up, get kind of power cord, the kinks and wobbly areas can accidentally hold way too much energy because they have less structural integrity. It's like, yeah, when your computer charger is breaking and you got to hold it in just the right position to get it to charge, and then soon the thing starts to overheat and you just need to get a new computer charger. That's what happens here. Uh, there are little areas of these cords of magnetic energy being transferred um, that kind of overheat or fail in a certain area, and that's not enough to launch the whole thing off of the sun. But if enough of the tube is disturbed and not making a good enough magnetic connection to the surface of the sun, it becomes more pulled by the interplanetary magnetic field than it does by the sun's magnetic field and flies off into space. That was the thing that I was showing on here. So also how I tell is like whether it came from a bright region or a dark region is one thing. Um, Coronal mass ejections that come from a bright region might be more of a gaseous cloud, but like here, when we're watching this region erupt, which is similar to what happened to cause our recent storm, you see that it's this dark stuff that has really loosened itself, meaning it has slightly lower energy at that wavelength, and has loosened itself from the earth and can fly off, or like a fraying sweater, like the thread finally got pulled out. And you can see itself back up afterwards. It's really interesting. I forget what name they have, but they arc over the spot that just got disturbed to suture up the whole thing. Okay. Now let's go to our astrology. Looking at it is a Saturn day. Did we start broadcasting in Saturn hour? No, we started broadcasting an hour. Uh, no, yeah, we started broadcasting during a Saturn day and a Saturn hour. It is now a Saturn day and a Jupiter hour. So let's start talking about Saturn. Saturn is making a trine to uh, really the midpoint between Venus and Mercury. to in here. Um, More of a aspect there. We also have Venus in an exact sextile to Mars in Taurus, and that's Venus in Cancer. So Venus ruling Mars is probably bestowing some beneficity, some benefic planet goodness to the way Mars is behaving in Taurus. Kind of, I don't know, mommy doming Mars into submission or good behavior, but I don't think that that will last longer than their aspect. And as Mars gets closer to Uranus, it's going to be a little bit more of a fiery showing. We've also got the moon in Cancer, or moon in Aries square to the Mercury in Cancer placement we were just talking about. And those are both square and opposite relatively, applying to a square and opposition to Pluto in Aquarius, because it's still kind of dwelling in the realm of making a larger orb aspect to late Capricorn placements. So that's where those harsh aspects come in for those. Usually you don't see those harsh aspects out of modalities. Like, these are both cardinal signs, but since this is barely into Aquarius, it's slightly in a fixed sign, even though it's making harsh aspects to other cardinals like it would be if it was still in Capricorn. Let's see. Black Moon Lilith has ingressed into Libra, finally. So we no longer have a bi-sign Moon Lilith. The moon just passed over the North Node, which is where the eclipses took place this year. It also just made its little conjunction to Chiron in Aries again, this time in the third decan. Yeah, I think. And let's not forget that Uranus is making a sextile to Mercury in Cancer. Uranus and Mercury, electrical and alchemical. I'm gone. There we go. I'll just come back with my screen though, because it is time to move to a card reading. Actually gonna. That's good. Apple juice and honey. That's really delicious. Let's go to the Wild Unknown Tarot. It's a new one on the block. If you haven't been watching the past week or so, I've decided to bring this guy out of hiding. This stays with a nice little labradorite I have here. See if I can get a good flash. Not really showing. There we go. There's my flashy labradorite side. It looks really pretty. You can see through it. I don't think you guys can see through it, but when it's backlit, you can see through it very well. And it's got a gorgeous flash and some pink and purple tones that shine through when you backlight it. That's really nice. And I keep that with the Wild Unknown Tarot. ASMR tarot reading hour. All right. Hello, Wild Unknown. Let's see. Can we please get a reading on, or a vibe check on the universe right now? What is the energy of everything that's coming in from the planes that we don't currently observe through scientific method, or that I haven't covered on this podcast yet today? Kind of for today and yesterday. What's the big energy coming in? I'd love to get 1 to 3 cards maybe to describe this. Okay, I think I'm going to have to pick them myself. I got to be a big boy. Go bottom of the deck, top of the deck, and middle of the deck. Okay. Wow. All right. So, first of all, we have got the 6 of Wands right here with a beautiful butterfly on it. The 6 of Wands says victory, success, up. If will be soon. The 6 of Wands. The obstacles have been relentless, but now is not the time to look back upon them. The more pressing question is, where will you go with your new set of wings? So it's really coming out of the forest, out of the cocoon mode. Maybe we are getting ourselves out there again and really being social butterflies, or just butterflies in general, maybe not having to be social. But we've also got the Daughter of Swords reversed. And the Daughter of Swords is also the Page of Swords. In this deck, they call them mother, father, son, and daughter. So the Page of Swords reversed. In the upright position, we have honest and insightful. The Daughter of Swords is a young woman whose honesty and insights take her far in life. People truly value her frankness. She learns from keen observation. It almost seems as though she never stops watching. Sometimes this becomes a burden for her, as she can't help noticing this or that small detail that could have been done better. There's a potential for her to hold on to those experiences and become spiteful and judgmental. And I think that last part is what we're experiencing with the reversal. This deck interpretation book doesn't read reversals, but I do, because I think it's a little too, it's not very realistic if we do a reversal. Yes, it is an owl. The suit of the royals of the suit of swords in this deck are all represented by owls, and they do that for each of the decks. they pick a different animal to represent it. So owl has a lot to do with the air signs, possibly also esoteric and hidden or needs to be unknown in order to exist. Uh, uh, as above, so below energy of this particular and he have was on. I believe that the native daughter of swords, this highly analytical brain that can analyze the right and wrong, that no answer looks good. Um, can hold us in our cocoon stage for too long. It is an energy of thinking too in your body enough to go through the transformation you're supposed to do. Um, together, really in a time of coming out of your shell. Um, but the third card we've got oh, went off stream. Yeah, you have let others walk all over you while you play the victim. Is it possible that you love the backstabbing and drama too much to move forward without it? If not for drama, what would you find out? It is time to move past that part of therapy that you keep coming back to, or that nagging thought that keeps you awake at night, or your addictions or your favorite ways to self sabotage. I think that is the way that we need to move out. Livestream. There we go. Keeps cutting me out today. It's a lot harder to keep yourself in this sunken, sad Ten of Swords place if you realize that liberating yourself is part of liberating some weird entity that is there is something special about being a human soul, but it's not if you go by that separation logic, you're going to end up wanting to eliminate yourself by taking out something that seems like it's not feeding back into the system. When you don't see how your survival is tied up in the betterment of the system, you're going to want to take yourself out of it when you realize. I think that's also why people don't want to see climate change as something that they're at all responsible for or contributing to solving. I think even when we talk about land back movements, a lot of people uh, say like, "Oh, Native Americans so that they can take care of it better than us bad white people," which is like the liberal end of the spectrum of being wrong about colonialism. You can't just like only give it back because they're better at taking care of it. You got to listen to what they're saying about the concept of land ownership and communal living in general in the first place. Like, it's a whole, I don't have the answer, but I'm pretty sure that the answer is not why people should kill themselves and give their land back. That is not, that's what this energy is. That is not what this energy is. This energy is we can co-create a future that's filled with less violence and oppression, and that uses the natural cycles of creation and destruction and times of rest and transformation to create a beautiful new vision together. But it is when you get caught up in theory and over analyzing, um, instead of living in connection with people in your community and like genuinely making friends with people who have the same hobbies as you, that's when you stay in the cocoon state and never figure out how to get out of your victimhood. I think a lot of like quote unquote liberal people fall into this victimhood like because they, I mean, I did for a long time and I still struggle with this. Like Captain Planet being raising me, like I think for a long time I thought I was bad because I was human and humans do bad things. But like that is not the case. That is a way for the two-sided political spectrum to get spun into one type of misery or another. Yeah, you can be the misery who feels like you're victimized for being a white Christian male. That's a type of false misery. You can really find yourself heavily in your victim consciousness because of. But there's also the type of, like person like me who is trying to get out of the cycles of violence that our ancestors have perpetrated people and perpetuated within our genealogical lines that bad because I come from bad and I can only put energy back into sustaining cycle. I like this card reading now a lot. Things I've analyzed organic in like a good relationship with the land, because it's genuinely what I want to do, and not because I think it's what's supposed to be done. Is what traps us in our yeah, I think you would just stay in your chrysalis the whole time if you did what was supposed to be done. Point part of your realm of possibility in your mind when you went in there as a caterpillar. So I love this reading. I think this deck guidebook that came with it only reads reversals, but I'll read the reversals, okay? Um, yeah, love this. Jenny, thank you so much for being here. I love all of you so much for coming. And when I mess up my schedule a little bit or double book myself at comment.